Hello from the Isle of Patmos. Not really. I wish. It's a beautiful place. But this week's Greek verse comes from Revelation chapter 13, verse 8. And we're in Revelation 13 because my podcast is in Revelation 13 this week. And we are talking about the beasts, the two beasts, the beast from the sea and the beast from the land. And so we join Revelation in progress at verse 8. Kai proskunesusen, and they will worship. So this ousi at the end of proskunesusen, ousi is third person plural. It means that the subject is a they of some sort. O ace a, amen eta ousi. It's a third person plural ending and active as well. Now the sigma right in front of the ending says I'm future. And so we know that it's will, they will, somebody, they will do something. And the word is proskuneo. The epsilon on eo gets lengthened when you add a tense suffix to it. Proskuneo means either to bow down, or if you're bowing down to a god, it's to worship. And so they will worship him, the beast, that is. Auton, him. Accusative case, because it's the direct object. They will worship what? They will worship him. Now, who is the they? Well, the subject comes after the verb here. Greek can do that because it uses its endings to tell you how the word is functioning in the sentence. So s is a nominative plural, often masculine ending. And so who is the they that are worshiping? Well, it's all those who dwell epiteskes upon the earth. Hoi katoi kuntes epiteskes. Now, I didn't quite finish talking about worshiping. You can bow down to a king. I decided to go this week with worship to parallel the lamb, worshiping the lamb, bowing down before the lamb, bowing down before the beast, contrasting worships. So anyway, Pontes is nominative masculine plural of the word all, pantheism, all gods. Hoi is the, and then katoi kuntes. I've already talked about s as a nominative masculine plural ending. The in there is, my aunt is an active participle. So this is an active participle. It's the omicron in ont has undergone a crash with the epsilon of katoi keo, which means to dwell. So epsilons and omicrons, when they crash, ooh, that's interesting. So we have an ooh, and then there's a police line there, circumflex accent to say, step back, there's been a crash here. Anyway, dwelling would be my rated G translation. Because the article's on it, Ken's rule, if it has the article, use who or that. So the ones who dwelling, stage 2, PG translation. And then to bring it on down, we use a little bit of common sense, the ones who are dwelling. And we've got a full-blown rated R translation, stage 3. Anyway, so all the ones who are dwelling upon the earth will worship him. That is the beast from the sea. Who, interesting, it is almost who. It's whose. It's a genitive. This is, by the way, even though these are the same letters, they are completely different. This is oo that means not. This is who. See, the breathing mark is facing different direction. This is rough like the sea. This is smooth. And so we put an H in front of the pronunciation. Who. This is oo. And then the accent, this doesn't have an accent. It's what's called an enclitic, or I guess proclitic, because it comes before. And so, is that right? I'm not sure whether oo is a proclitic or an enclitic, but I'm going to call it proclitic. So who is the relative pronoun. The relative pronoun often looks like a ending without a word. And so it's genitive, so of whom or whose. So we're talking about the dwellers upon the earth that will worship the beast. It's not all the dwellers on the earth, because the Christians aren't going to do it, but it's all of those who has not been written the name of him in the book of life. Okay, so it's those who don't have their names written in the book of life who dwell on the earth, who will bow down before the beast. So gegraptai, gegraptai. So tai is a third person singular ending, mai sai tai, or luo mai, lue luet tai. It's a third person singular ending. It tends to be middle or passive. Now, the clincher for analyzing this word here is that there is no vowel in between this P and the tau. Normally, there would be an etai or some other kind of connecting vowel. And so we've got no cartilage here, bone on bone. We've had a arthritic situation. Where does that take place? I'll tell you, in the perfect middle or passive. So, and there's this reduplication on the front. The gamma got a little beside itself and put an epsilon in the middle. This, yes, everything's coming together. Reduplication takes place in the perfect. Shoving the ending right on the stem takes place in the perfect middle or passive. The ending is middle or passive. So I'm going to go with perfect, which is where the has comes from. Been, because it's passive. And written, because it's from grapho. Hiding in the middle of this word is grapho. And so has been written. And the perfect tense is a sense of something that is still written. So it was written and it continues to be written. What has been written? Why, to onoma, the name, autu, the name of him or her. So whose name has not been written in the book, ento biblio, zoes, of life, the genitive here, dative here, because the preposition in says, you will be in the dative case. And so it is. Okay, so, and all those dwelling on the earth will worship him, with regard to whom his name has not been written in the book of life. It's not just the book of life, it is the book of life of the Lamb, which is an interesting clarification. What book of life are we talking about here? Why, the book of life of the Lamb. This book has been authorized by the Lamb, right? What lamb are we talking about? Well, we're talking about the two esphagmenu lamb, the lamb that has been slain. This is another participle. Okay, so we had those who are dwelling on the earth. That's participle up here. And here's participle 2. Now, you'll notice again, men are, first of all, oo is genitive masculine singular. This is genitive masculine singular because it's telling us about the lamb, which is genitive masculine singular. So it matches. Men are passive participles in this particular case. So there's where the passive comes from, the ben there. Notice that again, the stem and the ending has been shoved right onto the stem. There's no connecting vowel here. Normally we would expect a vowel before the ending, an omicron or an alpha or something like that. Where does that scrunchiness happen? It happens in the perfect Miller passive. So the having comes from the fact that it's perfect. Having been slain, and he still is slain. Now, there's no reduplication on the front. We would expect reduplication normally. However, sigmas are a little stubborn. Sometimes sigmas reduplicate, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they reduplicate with a rough breathing mark. Sigmas basically are unpredictable, or I'm not going to say they're unpredictable, but they're not normal when it comes to reduplication. So this is in fact a perfect passive participle, genitive masculine singular. I think it's from probably sphagidzo, something like that. I don't remember exactly the word for to slay. It's not one of my high frequency words, but it's probably sphagidzo. That's my guess. So the having been slain lamb. But my stage 2, use who or which, or that, if it has an article on it. So the lamb that has been slain. Okay? From the foundation of the world, apo kataboles kosmu. From the foundation of the world. I talked a little bit in my podcast. Is it he's slain from the foundation of the world, or is it those whose names have been written in the book of life from the foundation of the world? Generally, you go with what the closest antecedent, or you go with proximity, is your first port of call. Therefore, I think I have to say that the most likely reading is that it's the lamb that has been slain from the foundation of the world. Now, you might argue that the perfect tense here suggests having been, they weren't written and they're still not written, implies a kind of from the foundation of the world dynamic to the writtenness. You could argue that, but hey, this is perfect too, having been slain and still slain, although we know he was slain not at the foundation of the world. Well, I'm going to still go with slain from the foundation of the world because it was all part of God's plan. Well, this has been Revelation 13:8 and a little bit of Greek, and we will be back on Sunday with the next podcast, Lord willing, on Revelation chapter 14.